Hey guys, the anonymous monk here on a beautiful, gorgeous spring day. So today, I had this yearning to talk about Sister Christine, who was my mentor on the Holy Path. The Lord provided her for me at just the right time, and she was my only mentor on the whole path. The Lord wouldn't allow me a director. I tried to get one for years, but it never happened. Nobody called me back. So the Lord didn't want me to have one, except for Sister Christine. Actually, Mother Superior Sister Christine of the Immaculate Heart of Mary Order out of Virginia is their home base. But she was here for a few years. They come for 5-year terms for different places. So she came to our parish, and this is how I met Sister Christine. She didn't even unpack her bags yet. She came to our parish, and my son was in seizure. His whole body seized up, and we were in the emergency room, and they just placed us in the hospital. They didn't know what to do. He was just seized up, like in the fetal position, couldn't unravel. And so in panic, I call the rectory and the convent, because I work there. I do work for, I do volunteer work and help everybody out, and I work on the place and the church, and I'm that guy. So I called there, and nobody was there. It was Friday night, and I left a message in a panic, and so we're in there with the doctors, and it was pretty frightening. And then the doctors kind of walked out, and it was just me and my wife and my son there for a second, and in the doorway is a nun, and I've never seen her before. And she goes, she says my name, and I says, yes. I said, who are you? And she goes, I'm Sister Christine. She goes, I'm new at the parish. She goes, I just got in and I got your message. The first thing I did in the door was get your message, and I came right here. She's not even from the area. How she found the hospital, I'll never know. And she goes, I brought the relic of Saint Teresa of Avila. And I was like, she goes, let me pray over your boy. And so she went to the bedside, and she put the relic on his chest. He's wrapped up, remember, like a fetal position. She puts the relic on him, kind of on his side stomach, and she starts to pray. And as the prayer is going along, he's unfolding like a flower. And my wife and I are just looking in amazement. Nobody's there but us. And he just opened all the way up till he was flat in the bed. Oh my God, I was crying. I couldn't believe it, It was just, and this is this new nun, So that was how we started, So I just was madly in love with her, and we became best friends and two teammates, and I'd work at the convent, and she would mentor me as I worked there. Oh, it was the funnest time of my life. I just enjoyed that so much. And so she would mentor me, and I got key movement from her. She would be always there with the right word at the right time. She spoke very little, but when she spoke, it was powerful, very powerful. On my walk of holiness, this is how she really, really helped me. I had the key to the church, so I'm spending a lot of time at the church. I'm not home that much, right? Because I'm after God. I'm after holiness, and I'm there, late at night. I go because I go to the altar by myself. Oh, it was so wonderful to pray at night, and it's an enormous church too. So I felt like a monk, I'm kind of a monk poser at this time, and so I'm working at the convent one day, and Sister Christine, she's cleaning next to me. She's cleaning windows, I'm painting, and she goes, so I saw your van at the church last night around midnight. And I'm like, yeah, thinking real proud she's going to compliment me. And she goes, you know what holiness is? You know where it begins? I says, no. She goes, at home. She goes, your wife is the Blessed Mother, your child is Jesus, and you're out here. You got to be back there taking care of them. And in a moment, it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. I knew what holiness was. It was taking care of the moment around you, your duties, not being in front of the Lord at the altar. Oh my goodness, in one moment, I got the whole picture. I went home and I looked at my wife like she was the Blessed Mother and my son like he was Jesus, and I was going to take care of them. And that's when my care for home started, before taking it to the neighborhood. That's how it started. And so 2 years of doing that, they're like pushing me out the door. Yeah, we've seen enough of you. Please go take care of the neighbors. So I come home with different things. You know, when I came home with the dog after the old lady died that I took care of, Dorothy came, she was like right into it. She loved that. She loves the little dog. She just took it right in. Anything that I do, she's a part of it. It's so wonderful to have that. So my duty started of taking care of others at home. That's when I learned that from Sister Christine. She was just that moment. I'll never forget how a bolt of lightning hit me, and I got the whole picture in just that one moment. That's how the Lord works, inside and outside, evidently. You know, that's how he speaks inside. He speaks one sentence, the Blessed Mother, one sentence, and I have a revelation and lasts for years. Well, that's how he did with Sister Christine, one thing. She was a wonderful, and you know what she did? She flew around the world for the Immaculate Heart of Mary Order, and she tutored and mentored the young nuns who were having a hard time. She'd just go from place to place around the world. Whoever's having a hard time, she'd mentor them. That's how good she was. And the Lord gave me her. Oh, Lord, she was so beautiful. So beautiful. Here's a Sister Christine story. So I'm working at the convent, and there's a plumbing problem, so they bring in two plumbers, you know. And the young apprentice plumber he's got rings out of his nose. He's got, oh my Lord, there was metal all over his face and tattoos. And I was cringing inside. I was like, oh boy, here we are in God's house. I wonder what Sister Christine's, you know. And so she makes us lunch. Sister Christine makes us all lunch. So all the workers come in there, and we're all sitting around. And she goes, she's talking to this kid. She says, she goes, oh, I see you have a beautiful tattoo of Buddha on there. She goes, do you follow Buddha? And he goes, no, I just thought it was kind of neat. So she goes, oh, so you thought it was kind of neat, so you're going to wear that the rest of your life? Oh, interesting. She goes, you know nothing of the teachings of Buddha? And he's like, no, not really. She goes, oh, well, Buddha's got some wonderful teachings. And she starts teaching him about Buddha. I mean, this woman was spectacular. Me and the plumber, the head plumber guy, were rolling on the floor laughing. Now, he was a devout Catholic too, and actually he volunteers too, and he goes around helping convents, you know, for no charge, you know. And so he and I met, and we hit it off tremendously, and I ended up, we're still friends today. This is like 14 years ago. And he's an actor. He's a real actor. In fact, he's a famous actor. He's the Donut Man on EWTN, the Donut Man. Because we all have a hole in us until Jesus fills it, you know. Till God fills that hole in us. So he's famous. All over the world he goes for shows and everything. So he's a wonderful guy, but he's an actor, and he's an actor all the time, you know. Even when you're talking to him, you feel like you're on stage, because every movement of his body, every mannerism he has is like almost, it's like ballet. It's beautiful. Everything he does is just like you're just mesmerized by his movements, let alone his voice. So he and I hit it off. He buys homes, he flips them, but he's like big homes, like $700,000 homes. And he lets me work for him, and we've just been a wonderful relationship. And he just wants to talk about God and the Blessed Mother and the Holy Eucharist all the time at work while he's paying me. And it drives me nuts. I keep trying to get back to work, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I trying to get back to work for? Look at this. He's talking about the Blessed Mother. I got to stop. But he'll just talk on and on and on, even though he's paying you by the hour. He does that, and I love that about him. So Sister Christine opened up worlds for me. Look at that. She came in with the miracle for my son, and she gave me that relationship with that plumber for years. Oh my goodness, that was spectacular. And then the parish closed, and parish closed, and that was the end of that. And that's when I was becoming a monk, and I was like, how perfect, because there's too much social clubbing at the church. I was like, now that I'm being really devout, I was like, this is too much like a club. Everybody talks, and so I said, when this parish closes, I'm going to go find a nice parish where I could be myself alone, and not know anybody. And I did that. And I found a parish where they still kneel. They still have a communion railing and kneel. And they have the Latin Mass. Oh, I loved it. That was wonderful for my last days in the Catholic Church, with the Latin Mass. And everybody at the Latin Mass is like, they want to be there. So that was that's spectacular. But then I was there when I had to go back into the world for my prayer cell and learn about the devil in the world. And that's when I learned about the Illuminati, and Pope Francis is a puppet of the Illuminati and was installed. And so that was the end of the church age. That's what we found out. So we had to make up our mind to stay or go in the church, and I couldn't do it. I kept leaving and coming back. I couldn't do without the Mass. And then I found out on Still Small Voice on YouTube, now on Vimeo, is that we all have to do the Mass at home now. And she has teachings on how to consecrate the Holy Eucharist, and we have to become our own priests and altars now, our own. That's what happens at the end of the church age. Did you ever think about it? We have to do it on our own. You don't just go secular, do you? Right? At the end of the church age, what do you do? There's no more church, because God wants communion with us personally. And the future is God will talk to each one of us in our heart. And there'll be no more church. That's what's coming. And that happens at the rapture, by the way. It's not happening before that. So, but I'm the first. The monks are the first ones to learn how to do this right. How you form our prayer cells are now what everybody will have. Everybody will need a prayer cell, an altar, consecrated host, and have to do their own Mass if they want communion with Jesus, to keep it up. Who allowed you to pull away from the church and do nothing for a while, but you have to figure it out at some point. He'd rather you be out doing nothing than be there and a part of that Illuminati, because now it's cursed. The blessing doesn't come through the top anymore, you see. See, since they snuck in from the top, it just cut off the blessing right away. He didn't come in the bottom. And now the people in the bottom are holy and the people at the top aren't. So it's a horrible, horrible time. But it's the end of the church age. We've all read about it in the Bible. Do we know what it means? Well, this is what it means. It doesn't mean the Catholic Church. It means all churches. No more institutions. That's what it means. They're all wrong. It's not just the Catholic one. They're all wrong. They all have truth, and they're all right for a certain amount of time, but the church age is over.